What's going on, everybody? The Flash totally did the thing. We have to freak out about red costume Wally West. There's even a really cool Young Justice Easter egg that I'll explain at the end of the video too. There's a new round of the Flash Ring giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video, and be sure to turn alerts on because we're heading into Comic-Con week so you don't miss any of the videos. So we have to freak out about red costume Wally West. When people started messaging me about this late last night, I didn't know what was going on till I saw and was like, oh my god. So Canadagraphs, the people that typically camp the set, caught some pictures. Someone sent me some video. You couldn't tell quite from the video, you just saw someone in a red costume. So I was like, oh, maybe Barry's back by the end of episode 1. Because based on the timeline from that initial picture, day 1 of 8, The Flash Reborn, it was July 4th, so last night when this stuff was being filmed, they were still filming episode 1. And originally, I'd intended to do a Flash video about something completely different, because Peekaboo is back too. We haven't seen her since Flash Season 2, Episode 22. Based on the stuff we've seen from behind the scenes, it seems like the episode picks up 3 months later like they typically do each new season. So Wally West has been protecting Central City this whole time. Cisco's in his vibe gear, so he's been helping out too. But during the course of the episode, he faces the new threat of these robot samurai, and during that adventure, he comes to the conclusion that he needs to wear the red costume. There are a couple different reasons for that in the comics, so we'll talk about that in a second. But the costume that he puts on is Barry's old costume. It's not a new red costume that Cisco made for him. The production team might have built a slightly different cowl just because those are like literally pasted onto their face. They have to make a plaster cast. So this looks like it fits his face pretty well, but he fits into Grant Gustin's regular costume. Like the jacket would fit him, the pants would fit him. He's just a little bit shorter. Hot take is that I love Wally in red, but the cowl doesn't suit him, so I feel like he'd be better off if he were going to wear a red costume eventually on a more permanent basis. He'd be better off going with the ginger Wally West cowl from the new Rebirth comics, where the hair sticks out the top. We can make all the jokes about Barry coming back and them both wearing red. Nice costume, I thought you'd change the belt. The funny thing about this is the first time he wore the red costume in the comics was back during Flash 110 when he debuted for the first time. He came to visit Barry in his lab, had the exact same accident with chemicals and lightning, got the powers of the Flash, and became Kid Flash. He wore a red costume that looked exactly like Barry's. He didn't start wearing the yellow costume till Flash 135 many years later, so they just did that to differentiate him from Barry Allen. Because if you were reading The Flash for the first time and you opened up the page and you saw two people in red standing next to each other, you'd have a hard time telling them apart. So you can imagine that the TV show also flows from that logic too. If Barry Allen comes back and starts being the Flash again, Wally West is going to change his costume either back to the yellow costume or they're going to change it to the Rebirth costume with his hair sticking out the top, so it's much easier to tell them apart when they're standing next to each other. The parallels on the TV show are more for Infinite Crisis, where he disappears into the Speed Force and Wally West becomes the main version of the Flash in the comics. That actually started when they went from Flash Volume 1, which is Silver Age Barry Allen, to Flash Volume 2. So during Crisis on Infinite Earths number 12, after Barry has already sacrificed himself, he comes to the conclusion that I am no longer Kid Flash. In order to honor the sacrifice of my mentor Barry, I'm going to take the mantle and I'm going to wear his costume. He didn't debut as the Flash in the Flash comics until Flash Volume 2 number 1, which was that next year. And then that was basically the entire Wally West run until you get to Rebirth. Geoff Johns brings Barry Allen back for good. But even though we're doing a version of Rebirth from the comics, there are a couple different reasons why Wally could be wearing Barry's costume on the TV show. One, he could be doing the comic book thing where he's trying to honor Barry's memory, but two, the TV show could be doing something a little bit different where he's just trying to confuse the other villains. Like maybe they're coming for the Flash, so he's giving them the Flash, like the red costume, because everybody thinks of Barry as the Flash, they think of Wally as Kid Flash. You can also assume that there's a lot of chaos in Central City in the absence of Barry Allen because you have Peekaboo going crazy and Joe West tracking her down in a separate scene that has nothing to do with what Wally's doing fighting these robot samurai. So it might be one of those situations whereby the rogues of Central City and all the criminals don't take Wally seriously because he's Kid Flash. Like, oh, you're just a kid. We don't care about you. The Flash is gone. We can do whatever we want. So maybe that inspires him to step up, put the costume on, become the Flash for a brief period. But it doesn't answer any questions about Barry coming back and what would happen when he came back. Would Wally put the old yellow costume back on, or would it be a little bit different? Right now, without seeing any more behind the scenes, and they haven't started filming episode 2 yet, I'll say odds are on him going back to the yellow version of the costume. One, because it's really expensive to make those costumes. The Flash doesn't have an unlimited budget. And two, even though the actor that plays Wally West is in his 20s, Wally still feels very much like Kid Flash. I think we're all hoping that at some point, he'll mature and he'll go on to Titans and he'll start being the Flash of that TV show. But for now, based on the things the actors, the producers have said, it seems like there's a lot more Wally story to tell on the Flash TV show. So I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. But really cool Wally West Easter egg for Young Justice. So I know everybody can't wait for Season 3 to get here. There'll be a Comic-Con panel for Young Justice, but Season 1, Episode 20, the episode where Wally has his birthday, but at the same time also has to run the organ to the transplant patient, is based on the very first story that Wally had when he was the main version of the Flash. Volume 2, Number 1.
Hey! Sweet 16! That's right. It's my birthday. Arms are better. Got my cast off too. And it's snowing? Cool! This is gonna be a good day. Surprise! What? Oh, you guys, you shouldn't have.
Kid Flash, a young girl in Seattle is in desperate need of a heart transplant. With all conventional air traffic grounded by the storm, you'll need to pick up the donor heart in Boston and run it 3,000 miles across country.
Someone order a pizza?
What you're delivering is considerably more precious to a girl whose life depends on it.
Duh, I meant did anyone order a pizza for me? A guy burns a lot of calories running a few mph shy of the speed of sound.
The episode was called Cold Hearted, but the issue of the comic book was called Happy Birthday, Wally. So right now they're getting ready to start filming episode 2. We might actually see Barry walking around on set in the next week before Comic-Con, but just remains to be seen. So whenever we see him, I'll do another video about Barry coming back, but there'll be new Flash this weekend. And what's going to happen next today is that Marvel just dropped a big new Black Panther Comic-Con preview, so I'll do a breakdown for that. That should post in the next couple hours, but leave all your requests in the comments below. Congratulations to Pickle Rick, you're the latest giveaway winner. Please private message me so I can get your contact details. You can click here for a brand new Justice League preview, and you can click here for brand new Game of Thrones. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.